A silvery fog hung over the rooftops of Marrowind, the kind that crept beneath doors and whispered over cobblestones. Sira hunched beside her loom, thread gripped tight in raw fingers. It was nearly midnight, and on nights like this, the village felt unmoored from the world, as if you might drift away if you blinked the wrong way. "You aren't weaving that pattern again?" Old Hendra called out from her shadow-soaked porch. Her voice was soft, but carried a warning tone. "It's the only one that feels alive," Sira answered, barely above a mumble. A gust rustled her hair, the moonlight glimmering in her black curls. The tapestry at Sira's side wasn't hers, though she cared for it as if it were. Ancient, it pulsed, colors shifting with each heartbeat. Tonight, under the waxing moon, the threads danced, forming new images as Sira's trembling hand hovered above them. Her skin tingled. A rush of warmth and unknown language pulsed into her veins. "Dangerous nights for curiosity, girl," Hendra said. Yet she didn't move to stop her. Sira touched the cloth. The world dropped away and visions spilled into her. Shadowy figures marching across alien fields, dragons circling broken castles, a silver river winding through forgotten cities. Each glimpse lasted a heartbeat, but left a craving in her soul. Snapping from the trance, she gasped. Hendra was beside her now, steel in her wrinkled hand. "You saw something," the old woman said, "didn't you?" "Yes, other worlds, maybe other times, it felt like I lived them." A fierce pride flickered in Hendra's eyes. "Keep it secret, even from yourself, if possible. Strange eyes have wandered too close lately. They'll want what we keep here." Before Sira could press her, voices rose at the edge of the fog, rough, foreign, carrying the tang of metal and a promise of trouble. "Stay behind me," Hendra commanded, as figures with gleaming armor and faded banners emerged from the mist, marching straight for the tapestry Sira had just unlocked. The strangers approached, their boots echoing through the silent square. There were 5 of them, each taller than any villager Sira had ever known, pale-eyed and draped in heavy, rain-dark cloaks. At their lead marched a woman with a jagged scar splitting her jawline. She raised her palm, signaling to her companions to halt. The villagers, roused by whispers and the sense of something wrong, peered from their windows, but none dared step outside. Sira's heart pounded. Hendra shielded her, planted between the strangers and the tapestry still pulsing at Sira's feet. "We come in peace," the scarred woman announced, but her voice, brittle and cold, made Sira shiver. Behind her, a stout man carried a folded flag embroidered with a gold crescent. "We seek what is owed to us, the moon-woven relic." Hendra stood firm. "There are no relics here," she lied, fingers flexing around her cane, "only wool smoke and honest hands." The lead stranger looked past Hendra, straight at Sira. "You are the apprentice." Sira felt the weight of every watchful eye and the tapestry's magic pressing on her spine. "It's just an old weaving, nothing of value to outsiders." The woman's lips curled. "You cannot hide its light forever. The moon-woven relic belongs to the House of Varen. It is our right." All at once Sira remembered the vision, that crescent flag fluttering in a storm of fire. She swallowed her fear. "Even if it did, what would you do with it?" The woman's laugh was short, humorless. "Restore what is lost. Tear the veil between worlds. But if you resist, little weaver, Marrowind will pay in kind." Hendra's cane struck the stones. "You'll have to burn more than thread to get past us." The tension snapped. A thuggish outsider lunged. Hendra swung her cane, catching him in the knee. Sira darted back, snatching the tapestry as the moon's light hit full. For a heartbeat, time blurred. She saw herself racing through forest shadows, magic glowing in her wake, the outsiders stumbling after. In the present, Sira bolted. "Run!" she shouted to Hendra. The old woman hesitated, then followed. They fled through twisting village streets, the tapestry bundled at Sira's chest and the shouts of invaders echoing behind them. "We can't outrun them forever," Sira panted as they ducked beneath a stone archway. "What do we do?" Hendra's eyes glinted under the moon. "We hide, girl, and we learn why only you can speak to the loom. For our sake and all others, you must become more than a weaver tonight." Sira's lungs burned with each breath as she and Hendra slipped through the maze of back alleys. Every time Sira glanced down, the tapestry's shimmering threads pulsed brighter, as if guiding her path. Hendra gripped her shoulder, steering her behind a tangle of drying laundry and into the cramped workroom of the mill. The heavy stone walls muffled the outsiders' shouts. Hendra bolted the door, her hands shaking just slightly. They've hunted the relic for generations. They never get closer than this. What changed? Sira stared at her trembling hands, half expecting the tapestry to vanish. I must have activated something. When I touched it, I felt things that weren't real, or maybe didn't argue. The loom stories run deep. She flicked a candle alight, its amber glow pushing the shadows to the corners. It's time you knew our truth. Sira's doubt faded. Tell me, quickly. Hendra crouched, producing a battered box from beneath the table. She drew out a tarnished silver spindle and pressed it into Sira's palm. We are the keepers, Hendra whispered. You're descended from the first loom weaver, those who bound light and memory into thread long before Marrowind. The tapestry shields our world. You're its next voice, whether you want to be or not. Sira shook her head, tears pricking her eyes. I'm just a girl, I can't even weave the market patterns right. You'll learn, Hendra pressed. Tonight. Look, the loom chose you. Sira laid the tapestry on the work table. Its patterns pulsed with moonlight, a spiral now blooming in the center, threads shifting with impossible hues. When Sira placed her hand to the design, the fabric rippled like water. A faint, melodic hum filled the room. Close your eyes. Listen, Hendra urged. Sira obeyed. The visions came stronger. White mountains, singing rivers, and new voices, clearer now. One her own, but older, whispered back to her words she somehow understood. Protect the bond, shape the path, never forget. Her eyes flew open. The tapestry is alive, it warned me, it wants me to fight back. Hendra nodded, her resolve hardening. Then you shall, but not alone. There are others, rebels in the wood, and maybe even some villagers braver than we think. We gather them, we stand. A heavy crash upstairs made them freeze. The outsiders were breaking in. No more running, Sira whispered, steeling herself. Let's begin the fight. Even if I'm afraid, the loom believes I can do this. I have to believe it too. The footsteps pounded overhead, growing louder with each thud. Sira gripped the spindle tighter, feeling a strange strength pulse from the cold silver. She pulled the tapestry close, tucking it beneath her cloak as Hendra peered through a crack in the wooden wall. They're splitting up, Hendra whispered. We still have a chance to get out. Head for the woods, the old grove. That's where our allies hide. Sira nodded, swallowing her fear. Together, they slipped out the mill's back door and darted through alleyways bathed in shifting moonlight. The village was tense and silent, as if holding its breath. Shadows leapt as they rushed past empty streets and closed shutters. A dog barked, somewhere far behind. At the village edge, a small figure ducked out from behind a tree. It was Tomas, the blacksmith's son, his face streaked with soot. Sira, Hendra, I heard them, Tomas stammered, eyes wide. They're searching every house. My dad told me to find you. He says the old pact holds. Hendra flashed him a grin. Good lad, lead on. Tomas guided them through narrow animal paths where the bracken grew high and thorns snagged Sira's skirts. Branches whipped their arms, and the deeper forest seemed to swallow even the moonlight, leaving only the crisp glow of the tapestry to show the way. At last they broke into a small clearing. A fire smoldered in the center, ringed by rough figures, villagers and wild-eyed strangers, united by desperation. At their center was a woman in a patched cloak, her gray hair shining like silver wire, a scar across her left cheek. I bring the weaver and the keeper, Tomas announced. The group fell silent. The woman eyed Sira and Hendra, then her gaze dropped to the tapestry's faint glow through Sira's cloak. So the last loom weaver stands among us, she said quietly. Will you trust what you cannot yet understand, girl? Many here would lay down their lives for Marrowind and the magic you hold, but we must act as one or we'll all fall. Sira looked around at the circle of determined faces, farmers, traders, even children with eyes too sharp for their age. The tapestry pulsed, almost like a heartbeat answering her own. I will learn to fight, she said, voice steadier than she felt. But I need you all. We do this together. The old woman nodded, approval in her gaze. The next phase begins tonight. We have spies inside the invaders' camp and traps in the forest. But we need the loom's power, guided by your will. Sira met every eye, letting the hope flicker inside her. For the first time, she didn't feel alone. She felt purpose. And as the moon climbed higher, the tapestry hummed softly, as if promising its strength to every soul gathered in the clearing. The smoky light from the fire painted everyone's faces in shades of gold and worry. Sira sat beside the scarred leader, Mara, she learned, and listened as the rebels laid out their plan. "We strike before dawn," Mara said, her gravelly voice cutting through the murmurs. "The outsiders seek the tapestry, but they don't know its full power. If we move quickly, we control the fight." A wiry man named Joss leaned in. "But the tapestry is useless unless you—" His eyes landed on Sira. "Can use it. Can you?" All eyes burned into her. Sira opened the cloak and let the moonlight shine on the weaving. "It listens to me," she admitted, "but I don't know why, or what it wants me to do." Hendra gave her a steadying look. "Trust your hands. Let the loom guide you." Sira reached out, fingers trembling, and brushed the tapestry. Colors surged, deep emerald, molten copper, and cool silver. Her thoughts calmed, she felt threads not only below her touch but stretching far beyond, connecting every person in the clearing. She gasped, I can feel us, all of us." Joss whistled low. "That's Loomweaver magic. If you focus, maybe you can thread our luck, make us stronger, or distract the outsiders." Darkness thickened as Sira closed her eyes. She pictured the outsiders' camp, nestled by the river, and gently pulled on a shimmering thread that ran from Mara's heart to the enemy tents. Instantly, the camp's torches sputtered, plunging their camp into confusion. Shouts rose in the distance. Panic spread among the invaders. Mara squeezed Sira's shoulder. "Never doubt you are the weapon they fear. Can you do more?" The tapestry flickered, revealing images. Traps springing, villagers moving unseen, the scarred woman and her followers splitting up in the woods. Each vision lasted a second, but Sira shared what she saw. "We can move safely through the west woods," she whispered. "They'll expect us from the south. There's a gap by the thorn wall, and one of them, the smallest, is uncertain. He could be swayed." Mara grinned, teeth flashing. "Then that's our path. Joss, Thomas, take 5 and circle behind. Hendra with me and Sira will draw them out." Suddenly, Hendra pressed the spindle into Sira's hand. "You're leading now, girl. Don't flinch. The tapestry wants you to grow. Embrace it." With every step toward the darkness, Sira felt the loom's magic and the weight of every hope in Marrowind woven into her soul. For the first time, she refused to shrink away. She lifted her chin, faced the night, and walked forward, not as just an apprentice, but as a loom weaver ready to shape fate. Sira moved at the head of the group now, the tapestry's glow muffled beneath her cloak. The forest around them was tight with whispers. Twigs snapped, owls called, and sometimes she thought she heard her own fear breathing. The loom's warmth steadied her fingers, urging her on. Mara led with practiced silence, knife glinting at her hip. Hendra stayed close, though her eyes constantly swept behind them, watching for pursuit. Tomas and the others flanked their sides, ready for anything. As the group neared the hidden path, Sira spotted a lone sentry from the outsiders' camp. He was the smallest of the invaders, just as she'd seen. A boy, barely older than herself, with a nervous tilt to his jaw. Sira drew a slow breath and threaded her courage through the loom. "Wait," she whispered, halting the group. She turned to Mara. "Let me talk to him. I think he's undecided. He might help." "On your head, girl," Mara agreed, sliding behind a tree with the others. Sira stepped into the open. The boy whirled, sword wavering. "Who's there? Show yourself!" "My name's Sira. I'm not here to fight." She let the tapestry peek from her cloak, threads shimmering like secret stars. "You don't want this, do you?" For a long moment, the boy stared, then dropped his blade slightly. "They said it protects your home," he whispered. "We just lost ours. The High Captain promised us a way back if we gave her the relic." But a shout in the distance made him flinch. Sira stepped closer, letting the tapestry's magic fill her voice. "You know what happens if she gets it? She'll tear everything apart, even your home. Help us. We can find another way." He looked down, torn. "My name's Eli." Before he could finish, angry voices crashed through the brush. Outsiders, led by the scarred woman herself, swords drawn and faces twisted in rage. "There! The Weaver girl!" Eli spun to face them, panic on his face. "Run, Sira!" But Sira didn't run. For the first time she felt the loom's full power. Heat and color flowed up her arm and into her heart. The tapestry flared, flooding the woods with moonlight so bright the invaders stumbled, blinded. Mara and Hendra leapt into action, taking the attackers by surprise. Eli hesitated, then turned and swung his sword, not at Sira, but at the feet of the scarred captain. The leader fell, cursing as his loyalty shattered. With the way clear, Sira cried, "Now!" The group surged forward, Sira at the front, her heart pounding like a drum. They vanished into the thorns, the tapestry's glow still lighting their escape, while behind them, the captain's vicious scream chased them deeper into the heart of the forest, and closer to their destiny. Running blind, they burst through thicket and bramble, the sound of pursuit fading behind. Sira's breath came raw, but she didn't dare stop. The loom's power still tingled in her palm, guiding their trail with ripples of pale light. Hendra stumbled but caught herself, and Mara grunted, "Safe for now." "Where to, Sira? Only you see the path." Eli hovered on the fringe, sword awkward in hand. He kept looking at Sira, shame flickering in his eyes. "You could have run after what my people did." Sira shook her head. "We need every ally. Help us now. Make it right. Why did your captain want the tapestry so much?" Eli stared at the glowing threads. "She lost her home, too. The house of Varen was torn apart by war, and someone told her the loom could stitch the world's whole again, no matter who has to suffer. She believes it." Joss spat into the dirt. "Even if it tears ours apart," Sira ran her thumb across the cool thread. "I saw it. The loom can open doors, but it can also heal. Maybe it doesn't have to be one world or the other. Maybe both can be saved." Hendra squeezed her shoulder. "If you believe that, make them see it. For now, what's next?" Sira closed her eyes, reaching into the magic. Threads unraveled, showing her the village with smoke on its rooftops. Outsiders torching the bakery and barn, captives herded into the square. But deeper, she saw a thread pulled taut and quivering. The scarred captain ready to unleash something terrible. A hidden relic, buried below Marrowind's chapel, pulsing like a second, dark heart. "They're after more than the loom," Sira gasped. "There's something buried under the chapel, a relic as old as this tapestry. We have to get there first." Mara's jaw set. "Then we double back. Eli, can you distract your old captain?" Eli nodded, paling. "I'll try. I owe you that." As the group fanned out, Sira felt new confidence rise within her. She was no longer just following the loom. She was shaping it. For the sake of everyone across both worlds, she had to keep learning. She had to believe. With Eli slipping away into the mist, Sira led the way. Shadows shifted and the fog thickened as they neared Marrowind's sleeping chapel, bracing themselves for whatever lay hidden in the dark below. And for the final test, the loom would set before its last weaver. The chapel crouched at the village center, its doors barricaded with old planks and iron nails. Orange light flickered within, outsiders shouting, searching for the secrets buried beneath the flagstones. Sira pressed her hand to the tapestry for courage, and it pulsed cool and bright in answer. Mara motioned for silence. Joss and Thomas slipped ahead, dispatching a lone guard with silent efficiency. Sira, Hendra, and Mara crept inside. The air was thick with smoke and old incense, and the walls shivered with magical tension. In the nave, the scarred captain stood with 3 followers, her sword drawn, her eyes wild. Eli stood by her, face tense but unraidable. "We're outnumbered," Hendra whispered. "If you can use the loom, now is the time." Sira nodded. She closed her eyes, reaching deep into the swirling threads. The tapestry flared bright, and her spirit hovered above. She saw every villager in hiding, every rebel in the shadows, every frightened outsider. Most of all, she felt the relic below, a core of dense, shadowed magic. The loom song guided her. Suddenly, Sira strode into the open, surprising everyone. Eyes turned on her. "You want the old magic," she called, voice ringing through the smoke, "but it won't save anyone by force. The loom connects everything. It can mend, but only if we mend together." The captain's jaw clenched. "You know nothing of loss. I'll tear down this village for a chance to bring my world back. You can't stop me." Sira held up the tapestry. Moonlight poured through stained glass, catching the woven threads and spreading rainbows across the captain's blade. "Hurting us won't heal your pain. Your people could be safe here if you stop this, if you trust me." The captain raised her sword, but Eli stepped in the way. "Enough! This isn't what you promised. If the loom chooses her, we should listen." The room tensed. Mara and Joss prepared for a fight, but Sira turned to the altar, where an ancient slab was inscribed with intertwining patterns. She placed the tapestry there, and the world shifted. The stone rumbled, splitting open as radiant magic spilled out, swirling around the room, illuminating every face. Visions blazed, 2 worlds tangled, but not beyond hope. A hand reached out, a weaver's legacy, binding wounds instead of making new ones. Sira pressed her hands into the tapestry and spoke aloud. You don't have to be alone. None of us do. We can share this magic. Let the loom be a bridge, not a weapon. As the power gathered, each person in the chapel felt the weight of choice settle on their hearts. The next moment would decide not just Marrowind's fate, but the future of both worlds tied to the Crystal Loom. Time seemed to slow. The chapel pulsed with the tapestry's light, threads dancing from altar to rafters and binding each soul in a shimmering web. Sira stood at the center, arms outstretched, the loom's power passing through her like a river of hope and memory. The scarred captain, sword trembling, took an uncertain step forward. Her followers exchanged fearful glances, caught between old orders and new possibilities. Mara, Joss, and Tomas spread out to guard the villagers huddled in the corners, but no one dared break the silence. Eli lowered his sword entirely. Please, he urged the captain softly, let it end. We can build something new together. Hendra's voice rang out steady and strong. Magic doesn't heal through conquest. Sira, finish what you began. Show us how. Sira nodded, her voice low but clear. If we fight, we all lose. But if we trust, the loom can feel our longing and our hurt. It can weave a new story out of both. She closed her eyes and searched the tapestry, a sea of pain and hope. She found the scarred captain's thread, dark and frayed, and wrapped it gently in lines of gold and blue. Memories flickered. The captain's ruined home, lost friends, a dream of peace. Sira wove her own fears and village pride into the pattern, binding them. A shock of light burst from the altar. The relic beneath revealed itself, a crystal core floating in lavender mist. Sira felt its ancient loneliness, its yearning to heal, to belong. With the loom, she wrapped the relic's sorrow in the warmth of her people's unity and the outsider's desperation. Everything built to a crescendo. The captain dropped her sword, streams of tears cutting through the grime on her face. I didn't know it still could feel, could listen, she choked out. If you will have us, I will stay. I will help. Sira staggered, the energy starting to buckle her knees. Mara caught her, steadying her with a nod of respect. Around the chapel, villagers began to move forward, distrust mixing with curiosity. Some reached out hesitant hands to the outsiders, forging the first fragile connection. But the magic's swell did not fade. The loom thrummed with the power of a question not yet answered. Would the villagers, the outsiders, and Sira herself truly work as one, or slip back into suspicion and old wounds? As Sira collapsed to her knees, spent but unyielding, she looked up at the crystal relic. It hovered, still veiled in rainbow mist, waiting for a final choice. A vow to carry this unity beyond one night, one chapel, and one frightened village. The loom's song whispered, "The ending is yours to make." And through wavering vision, Sira realized the real battle was only just beginning. The dawn crept over Marrowind, gilding the battered chapel in gold. Sira knelt before the crystal relic, heart pounding as if it reached out to every soul gathered in trembling silence. The tapestry floated above the altar, its threads spinning new patterns, images of homes rebuilt, hands clasped in peace, and wild, nameless wonders beyond the forest's edge. Villagers, rebels, and former outsiders filled the aisles, faces raw with hope, fear, and doubt. The air pulsed with the magic Sira had awoken, but also with a tension as sharp as any blade. It wasn't over. The loom's gift would not settle for patchwork peace. The real weaving would take every heart every day, and Sira knew she was still only learning her first stitches. The scarred captain stepped forward. The distance between them, for the first time, felt bridgeable. "What now, loomweaver?" she asked, her voice unsteady but no longer cruel. "Everything has changed, but nothing is easy." Sira faced the crowd, her fear drowned by urgency. "We use the magic together," she said. "It doesn't belong to a house or a bloodline. The loom showed me. It answers all who choose to build, not break. The crystal relic. It needs care from us all, not just me." Hendra placed a gentle hand on Sira's shoulder, her old eyes wet with pride. "You brought us here. We'll face the work together." Some muttered, some wept, and some echoed Sira's words as vows. Eli moved among the outsiders, clasping hands hesitantly with villagers. Mara and Joss spoke in low voices with the council, forging the first rules for a new guardianship. Sira picked up the tapestry, now lighter than any burden she'd ever known. As she took the crystal relic gently in her hands, the loom's song brightened, weaving every memory and promise into dazzling unity. She looked at the faces, enemies and friends, all changed by the night's last reckoning. "If we stumble, we try again," Sira declared, her voice carrying through the sunlight. "This story is ours now. We won't turn away from each other or from the worlds beyond. As long as we remember what we share, the loom will keep our home and hearts safe." The villagers and outsiders, rebels and children, all reached for the tapestry, each feeling a pulse of magic, common ground more powerful than any wall or weapon. The crystal relic's glow settled over them, sealing the promise. As the loom song faded into soft morning light, Sira realized the greatest magic was never the relic or the tapestry. It was the hard-won choice each person made to hope again, and to weave their stories together. And as the first true sunbeam spilled over Marrowind, Sira smiled, knowing she was no longer just a weaver. She was part of a pattern as old as the stars and as new as tomorrow, a crystal loom of countless worlds, bound by unity and courage never to be undone.